Welcome into One of One Sports, the only one for your original sports takes, commentary, analysis, and of course, predictions. Today, we continue our college football series of predictions with today's team, the Alabama Crimson Tide. Let's get into it. Before we get started with today's video, I have to ask you guys a favor. Hit the like button and subscribe. We're trying to hit 200 subscribers on the channel before the start of college football. There's still a couple weeks left. I need your guys' help to do it. So go ahead, just hit that subscribe button. Now we can get into it. So last season, the Alabama Crimson Tide went 9-3 in the regular season before eventually losing in a bowl game to go 9-4, where they lost to Michigan, and they had just barely missed the playoffs. I think they were a first team out, finishing 9-3. And this was a team that had the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. You can look the game against Georgia, 41-34, one of the best games of the year. Jalen Milroe, absolutely brilliant. The offense looked unstoppable at times, mostly in the first half. And then the second half, it just all kind of faltered, fell apart. And there was a lot of that in the season. Like, how can you have that game and also have the Oklahoma game where you scored 3 points against the Oklahoma team? That was not very good. This team just was lacking consistency all year long, and it really started at the quarterback position with Jalen Milroe. He would have games where he looked like a potential Heisman Trophy winner, and then games where he looked like he should not be playing quarterback at all. And now you're hoping to get more consistent play from the team and from the quarterback position in 2025. Getting into what you lost, speaking of Jalen Milroe, obviously you lose your starting quarterback. He was also your leading rusher on the team, so a big part of your offense is gone. You also lose Justice Haynes, one of your leading running backs. He transfers to Michigan. CJ Dupree, your top tight end. Elijah Pritchett, one of your best O-linemen, transfers to Nebraska. And then defensively, Jihad Campbell, Malachi Moore, and K. Robinson were the best defensive players leaving the team. Return-wise, you return a good bit of talent, especially defensively, but starting with the offense, Ty Simpson back as like he was the backup quarterback last year, likely going to be the starter coming into this season. Then Jam Miller back as running back. Ryan Williams, outside of Jeremiah Smith, maybe the best receiver in the country. He returns alongside Jeremy Bernard. Caden Proctor and most of the O-line returns, but he's, of course, the best of those. And then Josh Cuevas returns as your secondary tight end, and he was pretty good last year. Defensively, there's a lot to have back, but the best players, Deontay Lawson, Justin Jefferson, LT Overton, Tim Keenan, Xavier Brown, Damani Jackson, and then Keon Sabb returning from injury. There's a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball coming back. And then finally, what you added offensively, Isaiah Horton, wide receiver from Miami, and then defensively, Nakai Hill-Green, linebacker from Colorado, and Cam Calhoun, a cornerback from Utah, are the biggest additions out of the transfer portal. And then you added the number 3 recruiting class in the country, led by three five-star recruits: Michael Carroll, interior offensive lineman; Dijon Leah, cornerback; and Keelan Russell, one of the top quarterback recruits in this class, second or third behind Bryce Underwood, and then maybe Tavian St. Clair, depending on where you look. Now, on to the specific strengths and weaknesses. I think the wide receiver core is obviously a strength. Ryan Williams, great player. Journey Bernard, really good player. Isaiah Horton can also be really good. And the tight end should be solid as well. And then the O-line, Caden Proctor has a chance to be, the top O-lineman taken in next year's NFL draft. And he anchors what should be a really strong offensive front, especially in pass protection. The weaknesses are potentially the quarterback, like Ty Simpson, probably going to get the job. Maybe it's Austin Mack, maybe it's Keelan Russell, but all signs point to it being Ty Simpson. And look, to me, when I've seen him play, he seems more like the game manager type, but Kalen DeBoer said that's not what he wants. So I don't know. Maybe they think they're going to get more from him, but just in the time he's been on the field, he didn't look like a guy that's going to elevate. He looked like a guy that'll be fine. And when you have, a really good O-line, really good receivers, you can have a really good team with him, but he could at times hold you back and not take you over the top. At least that's what I'm seeing from him when I've seen him play. And then the run game, bit of a struggle last year. Jam Miller should be solid, but the O-line struggled in run blocking last year, and overall, you're going to need to be more balanced. I don't see enough signs to believe that they've corrected it to the degree I think they may need to do something like win the SEC championship. Now going game by game in the schedule, you start off with a road game against Florida State, a team that was absolutely terrible last year, going 2-10, looking to have big improvements. Thomas Castellanos has said a lot about that they're going to beat you guys. It's not going to happen. Florida State, they should be a lot better than last year, but the gulf was huge between last year's team and last year's Alabama team. They have not closed that gap. That's a win. ULM's a win. And then a home game against Wisconsin, who faces just a nightmare of a schedule this year, I think is a win as well. This Wisconsin team does not look to be in for a good year. You start off 3-0, winning your early non-conference games. Off of bye week, you go on the road to Georgia, who obviously last year's SEC champions, been one of the premier programs in college football under Kirby Smart, has won back-to-back national championships a couple years ago. So we know what kind of test Georgia is. But Alabama has consistently given Kirby Smart and the Bulldogs problems, including last year winning this game. I think you're going to do it again. This is a game still early in the year, and I think Alabama should be better in the trenches than Georgia, O-line and D-line. I think quarterback play is around similar level, but I like Alabama's weapons more. And especially early in the year while Georgia is still breaking in more new parts and figuring themselves out in the trenches, I think Alabama can get an advantage there combined with the edge they've had over Georgia historically in these past few years. I like Alabama to get the win and then avenge last year's loss to Vanderbilt. Don't think lightning strikes twice. Alabama way more talented than Vanderbilt. And even though Diego Pavia is back and Eli Stowers is really good, there's no excuse for Vanderbilt to be beating Alabama. No way it happens twice in a row. Going on the road to Missouri, a team I think is going to take a big step back from where they've been the past couple years. I don't think Bo Perbula is going to play to the level of Brady Cook, Luther Burden being gone, Theo Weiss. Like this is a team that clearly is going, I think, in the wrong direction from where they were the past couple years, which is what you expect from Missouri. When you reach those levels, it's hard to sustain that at a place that isn't recruiting at an elite level. Unlike Missouri, Alabama does recruit at that elite level, has the elite talent, and should be able to go on the road and get this win before playing your rival Tennessee, another team I think taking a step back, losing Nico Iamaleava, not having a ton of proven weapons on the perimeter. The defense losing key pieces like James Pierce, losing the offensive player of the year, Dylan Sampson. There's a lot gone from this team. Alabama's at home, returns more proven production, has more talent overall. I think probably is the better quarterback, should be better in the trenches, and has better weapons. I don't see a reason to pick Tennessee in this game. And now Alabama gets off to a 7-0 start. This is where they face their toughest test yet, though. At this point, South Carolina should be looking really good. I think Lenore Sellers is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and obviously in the SEC then. And I think he can give Alabama problems, doing it with his legs and through the air. I think you probably have your receiver threats worked out by this point of the year, and the pass rush and O-line should be good. Going on the road to Williams-Brice Stadium, a tough place to play, underrated, with a difference maker like Norris Sellers. I think Alabama gets upset here on the road. Alabama is a more talented team and should win this game, but I don't think the gulf is that insurmountable for South Carolina. And when you have a guy like Lenore Sellers, who I think can raise to the occasion, and I'm just betting on him in this type of environment, in this big game, playing one of his better games of the year and getting South Carolina this win. Off the bye, you face another really tough team, LSU, with Garrett Nussmeier, with these weapons like Aaron Anderson and Nick Anderson and Barry Brown. The O-line does lose some key pieces, obviously Will Campbell, but the defense should be even better. A lot. Is like 2 years ago, it was terrible. Last year improved, but still had issues. This year should take another step the right direction, led by the pass rush of Patrick Payton and Harold Perkins. But at home, I do like you to get this win. I think LSU is a really good team. I think you're a really good team, and it's really sort of 50-50. I think to the talent level is similar. Both have good weapons. LSU, better quarterback. Alabama, though, better O-line. Run game, I think, is similar. And overall, this is one where I think Alabama is just like the home field advantage is just what makes me lean Alabama here. Is it's really sort of a coin toss game, and Alabama tends to win at home. Like you're Bryant-Denny Stadium, really tough to place to play. And in that environment, it's hard to pick someone to go in there and win if I'm not fully confident. So tie goes to the home team in that scenario. And then you avenge another loss from last season in Oklahoma. Another home game here in Oklahoma, a team that should be better from last year, but they shouldn't have beaten you last year. That was a very strange game. I think at home you played better. Oklahoma, the O-line still have a lot of questions. Your defensive line should be able to cause some pressure. They don't have elite weapons, in my opinion, and your secondary is really strong. So I think you can hold their offense in check and do enough to beat this team, and then obviously beat Eastern Illinois before playing your rival, the Auburn Tigers. And Alabama fans not going to like this prediction, but I think you lose this year's Iron Bowl. I think it's a Hugh Freeze like desperation game at this point in the season, probably trying to get a signature win, stay off the hot seat. And I think a desperate Auburn team that's still super talented when you look at Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton in the receiving corps. Jackson Arnold potentially playing really good at quarterback. Kendrick Fault on the D line. There's a ton of talent for Auburn. And I think when in this type of environment, in a rivalry game where emotions are playing a huge part, when you're trying to play your best and you're desperate, I think in Jordan Hare, Auburn gets the upset and Alabama finishes with a final record of 10-2. That's potentially good enough to go to the SEC championship. Maybe not. We'll have to wait and see for the rest of my predictions. But should be good enough to get into the playoff and is still improvement from last year. So that's all I have for today's video. Like I said, if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment any other teams you want to see me do, and check out the rest of the videos on my channel. Until next time.